This last week, I was out of town for a short vacation with my wife. And though I was mostly not paying attention as much as I normally would pay attention to all the things that are going on in the world, I certainly saw the spin up on social media about the tennis fan who grabbed the hat before another tennis fan who happened to be a young kid could get it. And then there's no way you could have missed over the last few days the Philadelphia Phillies fan who threw a fit and got a home run baseball from another kid. His dad gave it to this person. And as soon as these things hit X and Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media channels, there were posts that said things like, "Internet, you know what to do. Do your thing. Who is this person?" They were instantly trying to find this person. And within hours, people were trying to use their online sleuthing skills to dox these people and then get internet justice for their horrible atrocities. And what were their atrocities? Their infraction, they were being jerks. I mean, that's really what it is. In a moment of emotion, they weren't really thinking all that clearly, or they were thinking totally selfishly, as we are all guilty of doing from time to time. And so they got caught on camera doing something utterly stupid. And then the world responds, and the internet wants justice. And the response of the world, it teaches us a number of valuable lessons. For instance, first, this response proves that there are objective standards of right and wrong. It proves that objective morality is real. People show disgust and anger and a deep desire for justice. They prove Paul's observation in Romans correct. Romans chapter 2, verse 14 and 15. It says, "For when Gentiles or unbelievers who do not have the law, by nature do those things in the law, these individuals, although not having the law, they are a law unto themselves, and they show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience, also bearing witness between themselves, their thoughts accusing or excusing them." So what this shows is that you have a conscience, and you know evil, you know wrong when you see it. It bothers us when someone does something wrong. And then we are rightly filled with anger and even at times indignation. Paul in Ephesians, he says, "Be angry." Now, the problem is that his imperative there in Ephesians 4 actually says, "Be angry and do not sin," or "In your anger, do not sin." And this is where the second valuable lesson comes in these two incidents of social media justice. Again, from the Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 12. He says, "Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. For it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay,' says the Lord." There have been many who have observed that we are living in a post-Christian cultural moment. I've been observing and saying for years that the 21st century Western world is kind of like a re-Romanized or re-paganized culture. It's a culture that wants justice. We love justice, really for everyone else who screws up other than ourselves. In reality, our secular post-Christian culture wants to live under something more like the Old Covenant Deuteronomic form of justice in the book of Deuteronomy. The problem with that is that under that system, there's no room for mercy in Deuteronomic justice. Now, that's not to say that God in the Old Covenant was not merciful. All you have to do is look at the way that God dealt with Israel to know that he was merciful, way more merciful than I probably would have been. But under the Old Covenant, anyone who rejects or transgresses the law dies without mercy, as Hebrews chapter 10 says. And is that really what you want? Do we really want to live in a culture where there is instant justice without mercy? For centuries, going back to even the earliest days of the church, there have been those who saw kind of two distinct, different gods presented in the Bible, in the Old Testament versus the New Testament form of God. This is really what is the Marcionite heresy of the mid-2nd century AD. The individuals who fall into this, they think that the God of the Old Testament was vengeful and wrathful, and then God in the New Testament is compassionate and kind. And it's easy to see where you might get this, but in reality, what you're seeing in the Old Covenant is what it is like to relate to God on the grounds of justice without mercy. And nobody really wants that. We can't live without mercy. And that is what this current cultural moment is illustrating. Our culture wants justice. And I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. We want people to do what is right. But then when people inevitably fail to do what is right, especially in a very public sort of way, we want justice. But I don't know how we really survive without mercy. And this is where I think that Christians and the church have a great opportunity, or should have a great opportunity in this cultural moment. We need to be those who do justly and love mercy, and then walk in humility. Micah 6, verse 8, he has shown you, a man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you, but to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly before your God, or walk in humility just in general. Even though that's not what we're going to see portrayed around us. We don't see people seeking to do what is right and to love mercy unless they are the one who fails and then they want mercy. But we need to be those who strive to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk in humility. Something to think about. We'll see you next time.